The Atlantic Forest. Once an unbroken biome stretching along the eastern seaboard of South America that was at its height a quarter of the size of the Amazon. Isolated from other forests, unique ecosystems and species developed here that may be found nowhere else. For centuries, this vast biome endured catastrophic levels of clearance, such that today just 12% of the original extent remains in fragments that exist as relics of a once mighty forest. Its demise is perhaps unparalleled in the natural world. Today, scattered throughout Brazil are remnants of the Atlantic forest, isolated rafts that seem precariously in danger of vanishing altogether. But in one corner of the state of Sao Paulo, an ambitious plan has been formed. Led by the Brazilian Institute for Ecological Research, IPE, this plan envisions a landscape of interconnected forests that shelter biodiversity while coexisting in harmony with local communities that benefit from it, while helping to combat the existential threat of climate change. This is a story of that plan, the Corredors for Life, that addresses climate, communities, and biodiversity. Pontal do Paranapanema in western Sao Paulo state contains the largest remnants of inland Atlantic forest in Brazil. For years, this forest was fragmented and lost to large-scale agriculture and cattle ranching. Beginning in the 1990s, people from the landless rural workers movement occupied the region, dramatically increasing the level of human density and pressure on the land. And while large-scale agro-ranching landscapes and human populations may at once seem impenetrable barriers to restoring the Atlantic forest of the region, they could in fact hold the key. Responding to the challenge, in 2010, IPE enacted a plan known as the Dream Map. This involves reforesting over 40,000 hectares of land in forest corridors, connecting isolated forest fragments scattered across the landscape, while employing and providing livelihoods for over 1,000 families in the process. The plan has already been achieving success for almost a decade. In one example, the largest forest corridor ever planted in Brazil was created to connect two of the largest forest fragments in the landscape. Using 2.4 million trees and covering 1,200 hectares of private land, this strip of forest is already facilitating the movement of endangered wildlife between core zones of habitat. Now, with much remaining to achieve, the restoration is following several approaches. Along with linear corridors of native forest, plantations of agroforestry where trees shelter and grow crops like coffee, cassava, fruit trees and corn act as stepping stones in the landscape between forests and help facilitate the movement of a wide variety of species. In the process, they provide a sustainable form of income for small landowners that is at the same time ecologically valuable. Another approach the project is using is the intercropping of native vegetation with exotic species that are commercially viable and provide another economic incentive for landowners to reforest part of their land while allowing species to move through the region. At the heart of this project is the belief that local people's livelihoods must be improved for the project's vision to be a success. As such, the process of cultivating new trees from seeds harvested from the wild is owned entirely by local families who have been a part of the landless rural workers movement. Saplings are purchased from these families by the project and are planted by workers who are also from the landless movement. In guiding landscape planning, the project uses species as landscape detectives. Endangered species, including jaguars, pumas, ocelots, tapirs, and the endemic and charismatic black lion tamarins, are used to provide spatial movement data that can both assess a corridor's effectiveness and help provide information to guide the planning of future corridors. From the results gathered, these and many other species are using the corridors to travel safely between forest fragments, vastly reducing the possibility of populations becoming isolated from one another. Finally, the project is partnering with international companies and organizations by offering carbon offset credits. By converting pastoral land into forest, huge amounts of carbon is absorbed from the atmosphere and locked away. This is quantified and monitored by the project and offers a unique way for the program to be both financially sustainable and help groups meet their international commitments towards combating climate change. Already, so much has been achieved, and with the help of its partners and donors, the Corridors for Life initiative will continue on its mission to restore and preserve precious Atlantic forest biodiversity while providing socio-economic benefits for local people and help in the fight against climate change. Over the next 5 years, just some of the goals set to be achieved include planting 15 million trees over 5,000 hectares that will neutralize over 1 million tons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Over $10 million of income will be generated for local families in restoration and monitoring services and seedling production that will also seek to boost gender inclusivity and employment. Species of wildlife will be monitored as they move between corridors and reclaim newly connected forest fragments across the landscape. With your help, we can bring this vision to life that addresses climate, communities, and biodiversity.